Can you imagine what it would be like to not have first-person memories, to not be able to look back on your life and to have memories of yourself doing things? Well, I have a rare memory disorder called SDAM. It stands for Severely Deficient Autobiographical Memory. My name's Amanda, and I'm a neurodivergent woman. Along with this memory disorder, I also have aphantasia, I'm autistic, and have ADHD. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about my memory disorder. I first learned that SDAM was actually a thing when I was 38. So I'm 42 now. So growing up and even, into adulthood, I always knew I had a bad memory. But you talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, I have a bad memory too. I forget things all the time. But I always had this sense that my memory somehow was different by when I said bad memory than their memory. Also, sometimes it would get confused when I would say I have bad memory. People would think that, oh, I had bad experiences. A lot of people think that people with SDAM are hiding trauma. Their brain is protecting them from trauma. But I am as certain as I can be that I did not have a traumatic childhood and that this isn't some kind of way of my brain suppressing my, the trauma that I had to protect myself. For one thing, this is ongoing. It's not like I'm missing a certain number of years from my childhood. As I go along in life, I'm always losing memories. Hold on, my cat wants in. So let me explain a little bit again about first-person memories. So what that means is that I might remember that some event actually took place, but I can't put myself back into that experience and relive it as a memory. I don't have any kind of emotional ties to the facts that I can know about what happened, and I cannot relive any kind of sensory experience that might come along with those memories. For example, just because this one is kind of easy and it didn't happen even that long ago. So in 2019, my family went to Hawaii, and that was something that I was looking forward to so much. I've always wanted to go on a family trip to Hawaii. And it was bittersweet because at this point I knew about my memory disorder. I had a little bit more understanding of it, and I knew that after we left Hawaii, I was going to basically not forget that I went, but be able to remember the experience of being in Hawaii. So I know we went to Hawaii. I know we swam in the water. We went to a luau. I know these things, but I can't relive them as an experience. I don't have any facts about any details that I didn't take time to journal about or specifically note. The only things that will be captured in my brain are things that I really take time to say out loud or write down. And again, even though these become the facts that may stay with me, I can't relive them. If I reread my journal entry, it is just like reading a story that somebody else wrote. I don't put myself back into that memory and have an emotional response. So, at one point I was questioning, especially right after I learned about SDAM, what's the point of spending lots of money to go on these trips if I know that I'm not going to remember them? Well, I see it as life is like a building blocks of experiences, and every experience that we have contributes to who we are as people. Being able to travel, you meet more people, you meet different cultures, and those kind of stories interweave into who you become in the present. Your present is made up of your past, whether you remember it or not. So my experiences that I create for myself from my past create who I am in the present. So while it is very hard to know that I am in a special moment and that I won't be able to recapture that experience, I do know that it is worth it, because all of these moments add up to my beautiful life. Sorry. I think a lot of people don't realize how hard it is not to have memories like I do. I go through life using context clues, trying to figure out what happened. There are times when I'm talking to people and I don't remember doing something with them. So sometimes I have these relived experiences as a list of facts, but oftentimes a memory of something that I've done just actually completely goes away. I don't have any memory of a thing that happened. So, I'll be with a family member or a friend and they might bring up, oh, do you remember when we blah, blah, blah? And there's no memory at all. There's no list of facts. There's no recollection. And I'm just left with like, sorry, I don't remember that. And it's not because it wasn't important or special in that time that it happened. It's that my brain just didn't keep it for whatever reason, and it's no longer part of my experience. So before I knew about SDAM, like I said, I did struggle with my memory. I knew that I had a hard time with memory. Having this word for it did bring a lot of comfort, because I knew that there are researchers and they're studying it, and I don't know if it can be something that is fixed. I don't know if these memories are locked away in my brain and it's just a way to access them. I don't know if scientists will be able to find a way to rewire my brain so I'll have access to memories that I don't have right now. And I don't even know if I want that. Like, I've lived 42 years learning how to survive this way. If all of a sudden I had access to memories of my entire past that I have never had before, it might be too overwhelming of an experience for me, because I've never had that. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about. But what I was going to say is, when I had kids, I knew that I have a bad memory. That's how I thought of it at that time. And before I knew it was an actual disorder. And so I would journal every single day of their life. When I started my journal when I was pregnant with them, and I spent, I probably skipped a day here or there, but I would write a little paragraph, sometimes a couple pages, what happened that day. And I took lots of photos. And so I have their first couple years captured in a journal. And right now, my kids are almost 15 years old, and I don't remember their babyhood and their childhood. Those, again, I do have some facts about things that I've done with them, but I can't just sit and reminisce about, their childhood and, this special day that we did this thing. But when I do read that journal that I kept, it does give me the closest thing of a memory, because I know that I wrote it and I know it is an experience that I shared with my kids. And even though my brain can't recollect that moment, it has been captured for me. So, as life went on, I got busy and I stopped journaling, and I do kind of regret that. I haven't picked it back up. But, at some point, it's hard, because when you have books and books of these journals, what time are you ever going to go back and read through them? Sometimes I'll flip through pages, but it's just like people who take thousands of photographs on a computer or a phone. It's like when you're in the moment living your life, it's sometimes hard to take time to go back and look at old photos. And so they just kind of sit there and get forgotten. But that's one reason why I really love, what's it called? The Facebook, like on this day in history. It kind of gives me a little capture. It's like, okay, these are photos that I took on, November 15th in 2012, 2013, and so I do love that feature because it kind of gives me a little snapshot, and because these are things that I've posted on Facebook and I don't have any memories of anymore. Okay, so I feel like I'm kind of rambling on. So I will wrap up this video. If you have any questions, I will tell you that talking about my memory disorder is not easy because it's hard to explain. I only know my experience, and it's hard to relate it to somebody else's experience when I can't really quite understand what their experience is, especially because these kinds of things aren't things that people talk about. I didn't know. I mean, I kind of guessed that something was off about my memory from how other people talked about their memories, but until I had a word for it and we start to build language around these internal experiences that we have around all of our neurodivergencies, then, it's hard to compare because I don't know what somebody who has an actual really good working memory, how they really experience it. I try to grasp concepts through the shared conversation, but, I can't live their perspective just like you can't live my perspective. And I do know that a couple of my followers do have SDAM. They found me because of the connection. So please feel free to chime in the comments your experience if you relate to anything like this. And if you have any questions, please write them down below because they might help me with future videos, or I'll answer them also in the comments. And until the next one, guys, bye.